Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends podcast. With me today is another legend. Her name is Rebecca Eakins, and she is from Buderim Foot and Ankle on the Sunshine Coast. So, Rebecca, how are you doing today?
Excellent. Good to be here. Yes, it's a beautiful day here on the sunny coast.
Sunny Coast is a beautiful
Nice.
part of the world.
Yeah, so good. Best place to live and work.
Where are you originally from, though?
Ayr, little country town in North Queensland. I had a really idyllic upbringing, really. Running around a cane farm. I had my own car when I was 14. Just was able to
Just to drive around the farm?
my little Suzuki. Yes. Had the dog in the back.
Farm
Yeah,
girls are tough.
it was fun.
My wife is from Mariba.
hmm
So she's not a farm girl, though. Her dad was a builder. So she's Italian. So therefore,
Yes,
if you're Italian, you're either a farmer or a builder's daughter.
100%.
But a lot of her friends all grew up on farms. So we spent a lot of time going out to their farms and meeting them. And then watching my daughter, who's brought up in Cairns, and then watching their kids growing up on the farm. They're tough girls on the farm.
Yeah, it's good. I think it keeps you fairly grounded. There's no mincing words, Often people are quite straightforward, where you
Yeah.
stand, and just honest and hardworking. It's been good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like how you said you were driving around the farm at 14.
Yeah, it was good. You learn a lot of skills, don't you, when you're in the bush, basically.
So
Yeah.
what were they doing? What were your family doing out in the air? Were they farming or were they a service provider? What were they doing?
No, they are. They're farmers. So we've
Yeah.
had that farm 100 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's been
Okay.
through a few generations. Yeah. So it's quite a big establishment. And my brothers still run that farm. Yeah.
Well, was it? Because you did say that you were out on a farm. So yeah, I should have just realized you were
No,
on a
yeah.
farm.
But no room for girls on farms. So it was off to uni and get an education. So,
Is that true? So that there was no room on the farm for a girl?
well, you can't have too many chiefs, I guess. I had
Yeah.
3 older brothers
Oh,
and one
yeah.
younger sister. So 2 brothers on the farm. Yeah.
That's amazing. And you've had the farm in the family for 100 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's still there now. Your brothers are running it all.
Yep. Yep.
What did they grow?
Sugarcane, mung beans, rice, sometimes sorghum. Yeah. But
Going back, I'm asking you history
yep.
questions there on farming. Going back when they first started the farm, what did it start as?
It was sugarcane back then as well. It was
Okay.
it was like printing gold, I think, back then, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, things have since changed with the global market of sugar and everything to do with global politics. But anyway, yeah. So yes, I think it was a good industry to be in back then for sure.
Okay. So when you finished school, your family
Yep.
said to you, we don't need another chief on the farm, especially a female one.
Yes.
So you were going to go off and get educated.
I
How
think it
did you
was
choose podiatry?
Yeah, so I always loved sport. I was a ballerina. I'd done dancing for 12 years. I'd done touch football, basketball, lots of different sports. I'd always been active, younger teenager and into my early 20s. So basically I came to university. I enrolled in business, international business,
Okay.
and I hated it. So I did 6 months, holy dooly. It was just like a baptism of fire. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And anyway, I quickly moved
Well,
across
can I
to
ask you a question
business.
for a sec?
Yes.
Did you choose business because you thought, I'm going to go off and get a business degree, then I'll come back and help the farm business-wise, or that there was
No, I knew I
not
had
the
to stand
thought?
on my own 2 feet. And I
Okay.
guess watching my parents and my brothers run a business I knew that it was something that I probably wanted to do, but just didn't know what. But I had also enjoyed, yes, all of those other
Okay.
physical things. Anyway, so went to uni and changed across to human movement studies. So grades went up, everything was great, loved it. And then when I went for a prac at the Queensland Academy of Sport, we were testing the kookaburras. So we did all their, beep tests, all
Yeah.
the physical measurements, all that kind of thing, which was fun, as really good. And then you had to go back to the lab and analyze all the data, which was also good. Then we had to go out on the track and field for all the athletes for, it was pole vaulting and sprints. So all of these testings and things were often done quite early in the morning and late in the afternoon. The other thing I knew about myself was that I wanted a family.
Yeah.
So as a woman, it's like, well, that kind of lifestyle is not going to really suit having kids.
Not
Putting
at
up at
all.
Sparrow Fart with athletes, being there late in the night with athletes, it was really enjoyable. So anyway,
Can I just point out to our American listeners, sparrow fart means getting up very early in the morning, in case you're wondering.
It does. So, yeah, athletes tend to be working themselves. They
Yeah.
often need to be employed because there's not a lot of money in athletics and that kind of thing. Or as we know with
Yeah.
sport, it's been so topical at the moment, Matildas and all of that. Yeah, so I just knew that being up early and working late into evenings and things wasn't going to suit a family. But I didn't want to give up human movement studies. That side of it, I really and thoroughly enjoyed. So I was working as a receptionist for a podiatry clinic, and I just saw that the business hours was much more suitable to having a family, and that was why I went into both degrees. So
What did you enjoy about human movements?
yeah, I did like all the exercise testing and all the movement side of it. So biomechanics was my favorite part of human movement.
Okay.
And I guess that led into the podiatry side of things where I've really enjoyed looking at people's mechanics and seeing what an instant result you can have with orthotics and arch supports and things. And sometimes just giving exercise prescription. So using PhysiTrack in my practice and doing exercise prescription as part of the mainstay of treatment for MSK problems, it really stood me in good stead for that. And I really enjoyed the other sides of exercise physiology. One, rehabilitation from, conditions or injuries for athletes. And the other part was good in terms of like opening my eyes to things like testing on mining sites and stuff. So our last major prac was testing the mining vests and the distribution of weight across those vests to keep people injury free. So it was injury prevention. So that was really interesting as well. Yeah. So that gave me a good foundation basically in that first year, and then finished it as a dual degree. So finished them both off at the same time. Yeah.
Okay. Would you say, because you mentioned earlier on that you did ballet for 12 years, through ballet, did you have many injuries where you were exposed to like physiotherapy or other health practitioners? Do you think that side of things is what made you interested just in the sports and the movement, especially with human movements, and then joining on podiatry?
Yeah. So as a dancer, your feet are under constant load and pressure. But fortunately, I never had a catastrophic injury, which was
okay.
good.
That's good.
So I did have minor ones. And yes, the physiotherapy was on board there in a regional area. There certainly wasn't podiatrists. So the physiotherapist was the mainstay for treatment of those things. And it does really give you a real, insight into how much an allied health professional can get you back doing what you love. So yes, recovery from injury is always hard, and it's good for young people to get that right advice early, because that makes such a difference to you being able to continue in that sport for a longer period of time. Yeah, that's probably one of my bugbears about podiatry is just often you're the last port of call.
Oh, I know.
In the community when you've had an injury, whereas if it had been attended to in a certain way quicker, you would be back on top so much more easily.
I know, it's funny. One of the comments, when people go to join the Podiatry Business Owners Club, the Facebook group that I have,
beautiful.
One of the questions asked is, what's your biggest frustration? One of the most common things, other than staffing issues, the other common thing is, I wish the community understood more about what we did and that we weren't always at the last port of call. I wish people would think about podiatry sooner. So that is a common problem for a lot of people. We've all got to be promoting podiatry. Every clinic needs to promote podiatry individually as best they can, and then the association needs to add on top of that.
And I think that's true as well. Like as podiatrists, it's just being the best possible podiatrist you can be as well. So it's quite often the case where someone will come in and look at your rooms and think, oh, this is beautiful. Like the last place I went to was like coming into the back end of a car, I
know, it's embarrassing.
In an alcove against the side of another consult room or something like that. It just can't be done that way. There needs to be more accountability for your premises and the way that you're allowed to practice. And I think the association has tried to uplift that quite a lot in terms of having a bit more to do with, sterilisation, and certainly the NHMRC, their guideline prevents, well, if it's followed, does prevent some of that from happening. But there seems to be a vast difference from, some practices to another.
Well, I always find it funny that they have, every year you've got to do your professional development hours, and they categorize so many different areas, and you've got to do that to get re-registered every year.
Yeah.
However, a business can be run like a dog's breakfast,
Yeah.
look like hell, that represents the
Yes.
clinic, the profession so poorly, yet there's
Yes.
no standards when it comes to what a podiatry clinic should look like. So
Yeah.
imagine if they made it that, okay, you want to open up podiatry clinic, that's good. Here's the checklist that you've got to go through, and and you've got to pay a $5,000 fee for someone to come out and assess your clinic. If it doesn't pass, you don't open. That would put a lot of pressure on people, and I wouldn't have a problem paying it every year.
Yeah, yes, it's interesting. Anyway, it is a good, there is so much to offer in podiatry. Like there is so much that can be done for people, and just such good instant relief and good outcomes. And I think that's just not shown enough for, in the community.
Well, it's like you said, if you come to your clinic as very professional, but you go to me, I always think the podiatrist that has the professional looking clinic is trying to do the right thing by the profession. The person that's down the alcove and looks like the back of a car boot and looks old and dingy, more than likely they're not representing the clinic, the profession the right way.
Well,
and possibly may not be keeping up to date with things. So
and
therefore it's not just the clinic that looks bad. Maybe their knowledge is not the best.
Yeah. So it's so important.
Do you think we've upset anyone yet?
Oh, that's why I'm not listening back. So there's so many things to be doing and always improving your clinic space. There's always something new to be investing in, isn't there? Like Swift and Shockwave, and these things are all aiding in keeping up with the latest technology and that kind of thing. I think that all of that is important as well.
So when you said about the Swift machine, like if I opened a clinic tomorrow, more than likely I probably wouldn't have a Swift machine myself, but I would try and find out, is there anyone else in Cairns who does have one? Yes. And do they have a problem if I refer my patients to you to get that done and set up a working relationship with other practitioners in the area, especially if there's areas that you're not interested in, but they may be.
And that's really important, I think, too, in a place like the Sunshine Coast that's really spread out. So, if you're living in Caloundra and you're coming up to Buderim for Swift, that can be a 40-minute kind of commute to get here. Yeah. So it's really good to be able to offer that treatment, and then I send them back. So we just had a lady this week, she had a resolution of her complaint, and I said, now I think you should continue with your general foot care back at such and such a clinic in Caloundra. To not cut them off from that.
Oh, definitely.
And I just think the better that we all do as practitioners lifts the whole profession overall. It's better for everyone. If everyone is successful, there's enough work for everybody. It's just bringing everyone up in terms of that podiatry name. And I guess some people might be down on bigger organizations like My Foot Doctor or a Different Dimple and other clinics that have expanded and grown. But I guess from the standpoint is that at least they're lifting the name and profile of podiatry as best that they can across the broader community. I'm not part of that healthier organization, but I do acknowledge their success and what they've been able to achieve as well. So.
Oh, no, I agree. I sold my practice to the Healthier Group.
Yeah.
I looked at what they did to my practice since owning it.
Yeah.
So it's changed a little from when I owned it.
Yes.
And even though I might look at a lot of the clinics and go, okay, I wouldn't work there, but that's just me for whatever reason. But as lifting the profile of podiatry, they've definitely been a positive in that way.
I think so. Yeah.
And can continue to do so.
Yeah, I think just talking to some younger practitioners recently that there is a drop-off is that right though? I don't know if that was just gossip, that the numbers of podiatry intake of students in Queensland is lower. And
I'm not sure.
Lowering. Yeah, so that was a bit disappointing to hear. So don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. But I wondered if that had an influence on the popularity of podiatry to the younger, generation of people.
Well, the hardest part is I am part of this group here in Cairns. I'm on the board of this group called the Business Liaison Association, and we bring students and industry together. I used to be a sponsor when I had my podiatry clinic, and when I sold my clinic, I jumped on the board, and I still work with them. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, cool.
And we do a careers expo every year. They get 4,500 students through the careers expo that's set up for the whole day. So that's a lot of students.
Mm.
There's physiotherapy, there's optometry, there's
Every other health
pharmacy,
professional.
JCU, everybody there. There is no podiatry, no podiatry representation. The only time there was podiatry representation is when I owned my podiatry clinic. I used to actually have a stand there to promote podiatry. And then at the same time, you're getting bagged by people saying, you don't do anything for the profession. You go,
oh goodness.
You
And I
can
think
only do
too
so
in that
much.
regional area, like running that practice in air. So I did that for 6 years, Buderim Podiatry, and was hugely successful. Again, I guess you can attribute that to not being, not many practitioners in the area, but nonetheless, it was just craving, really needing an allied health professional, and needing a podiatrist, more importantly.
But when you're talking about the students, if there's 4,500 students who just went through the Careers Expo, and there was not one representation of podiatry there, other than me running around the background.
That's right.
Then none of them are being exposed to it.
No, and you're losing that talent,
So they don't know it's there.
No.
And if their only exposure to it may be a clinic that may be subpar. Now, there's good clinics in Cairns, I will admit.
Oh, yeah.
Some very good clinics in Cairns. So if they've been exposed to that, that's a positive. If they've been exposed to some of the other ones, which, someone wouldn't take my dog to.
No, that's right.
Then that's a negative. So therefore, if there's any career expos out there, there needs to be somebody or the association or the university representing podiatry.
Yeah, so I don't know what the numbers are of intake up there, but and certainly attracting anyone to a regional area is incredibly difficult in any sense, but particularly in podiatry, if you've got no one who's come from that area. So if they're not being exposed to it in Cairns, which is a huge regional centre, then where are they going to get exposed to it?
I take it you went to QUT?
Yes.
Okay, so then you went through QUT, had fun there, but you decided to leave Southeast Queensland and head back to air.
Yes. So, like I said to you, keen on being a mother, left university, and I worked here on the Sunshine Coast for a short period of time, a couple of years. Then we had our first child. Then you're on that part-time kind of scenario for the next 5 years where you're just doing, re-entering the workforce in, some capacity. And then, yes, we travelled back up to North Queensland after that so that our children would know their cousins.
Yeah.
So that was the main calling card, was to go back to family, for our children to know their cousins. So if you don't have someone who has some kind of link to a regional area, it can be, not always, but can be difficult.
Yeah. How many children did you have?
4.
4?
4 and no more.
Yeah, geez, get a bigger TV.
I had that one before.
Oh, you should have got Fox Sports. Yeah, that would have taken it down a few. Was the plan always to have 4?
Yeah, always one.
Okay, so Fox Sports wouldn't have made any difference.
No, 1 of 5.
Yeah, there's always halftime.
Yeah, that's right. Doesn't take much. Done.
The conversation goes off track so easily.
Yeah.
Actually, had a student who listens to the podcast, and they said what they actually enjoy about the podcast is they never really know where it's going to head. They said sometimes you'll be talking and you guys go down a path that I wasn't expecting to go there.
But it's also come full circle. So Hannah, my eldest girl, who's nearly 14, is right into basketball. So she's there like 5 days a week, and she's got orthotics. So it's been ripper, to see how great that's been for her as an individual. And then also, the bit that flows from that as well, of course, so that once you've treated someone on the team, a few more come through with whatever their injuries are. But that's been exciting to watch Hannah in that development stage of sport and have success with orthotic therapy and to keep her, going well. So, and in also injury. So seeing that overuse, particularly with young people in that pre-adolescent age group from 12 to 14, particularly passionate about girls and keeping them active in that window. So we tend to see the biggest drop off between 13 and 14 years of adolescent girls not participating in sport. And it's super important for that bony turnover. So that bone turnover in 8 years from that pubescent time and through over that, it's highly influenced by how much impact sport you're doing, jumping, running, etc., and things like that. And it's funny how even today, at Hannah's school, for instance, they have a knee-length skirt, and it's just so prohibitive of being active during the school day.
Yeah.
And just think, I can't believe that exists now, especially in light of like the Matilda's success, is her to go out at lunchtime. She wants to go on the oval and kick a football in a knee-length pleated heavy drill skirt.
Is she at a co-ed school or a private school?
Yes. No. She's
Co-ed
at a
school?
co-ed school. So the boys all have shorts, of course.
It doesn't make any sense, does it? With the whole thing about equality these days.
I know, it's just
and you can be any gender you want, including a chair if you wanted to be.
Yes,
I'm a chair.
Yeah. Whatever you identify as.
Whatever you identify as, I identify as an AirPod. So anyway, that they still say it should be with the girls. You can wear shorts or you can wear a skirt. What would you prefer to do?
Exactly. And fine, yes, there probably is. You can wear the boys' shorts.
Yeah.
I mean, come off it. Get real. Like, get a girl's uniform that encourages physical activity so that they are running around at lunchtime still. Why do you turn 13 or 12, enter the high school realm and be expected to sit around all lunchtime? It's just backward. Keeping kids active, particularly females in that age bracket, I think is really important. And podiatrists have a role in that. Podiatrists have a role in keeping kids active and keeping them out of pain so they can be active as what they want to be. You know, just because you've got severs and you've been given some stretching or something like that from the physio, there's more that can be done for you, you know, footwear advice, other exercise therapies, those things to aid in recovery and keep them active. Activity modification, not just stopping altogether. So cross training, changing that up. I guess that's probably passionate for me because of that exercise physiology side of things.
I just love hearing the passion in your voice. That's what I'm picking up when you're talking. You can just see how passionate you are on this particular subject.
Oh, and just activity, and young people. So I see a lot of kids through the clinic here. So being a mother of 4, you've got, you know, connection to the community, of course, at the school and definitely children's sports. So the next girl's active as well in the netball scene of things. Yeah, and I think they're always pleasantly surprised. It doesn't cost the earth and there's so much that you can still do. So I think that's a misconception as well in the community that perhaps orthotics have been shelled out a little bit too free-handedly.
Yeah.
And perhaps at the expense of providing quality care along with that. And that gives that misinterpretation that all podiatry clinics are expensive and that orthotics that's all you're going to give me and they cost a lot of money. So it's really getting over that barrier and just getting them in for that initial consult as a, you know, starting point, just to refresh them in their mind about what you actually do. So getting that real history is really important. And I've noticed that's lacked in some practices where I've worked, is just really listening to that patient at that initial consult is so important and not presuming too much. Yeah.
Why aren't you the president of the Podiatry Association?
Yeah. No way. Oh God. That's why. For people with more time on their hands.
Probably more time and political ambitions, I suppose. But when I think of Sunshine Coast, where you are now, I mean the Sunshine Coast has got so many good podiatrists there. I pretty much know every podiatrist that's down there. And when I think of them all, and I've had some sort of interaction with them at some stage in my career, and there's a great bunch of podiatrists on the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice place to live and work. And we used to have an organisation years gone by called Sun Pods. So I must investigate that more. I keep saying to myself that I'm going to find some time to reorganise that, because that's a nice little of that whole ethos of bringing everybody up to do the better job. It's not about showing off or, you know, I know more about this or that or whatever. It's just bringing people up together as a profession. Yeah.
I think they used to have Norpods as well.
Did they?
North,
That's good.
Yeah, but I think it ended in a fist fight, so it got canned. No, I don't know. I just made that up.
Probably. But yeah, and that's what all of these things is like. You can get disillusioned by, I guess.
Well, but I used to hear people talk about the Sun Pods group in Barry Hawes days.
Yeah.
And the people I knew who were part of that used to say they just loved actually getting together with other podiatrists. And they said a few of them took them a little while to think, okay, not everyone's out to get me, and not everyone's trying to steal my ideas. It was nice to actually just talk to other people in your area and get along.
Oh, definitely. I think it's yes, it is hard, I will admit, being a mother and a business owner. That is really different to being a male in the industry. It's difficult to explain. It's not sexist. It's just that there's no
Oh no, it's just
there's no
reality.
changing that you have to have time off
I've got 3 kids and it
to
never
have a
affected me.
baby.
Yeah, it never affected me once about going to
No,
work.
no, and you can continue in that professional
Yeah.
development side, things easier as well. So yeah, maybe I'm not sure what the ratio is of female versus men business owners.
I don't know.
Find out.
It's
Don't
interesting
either.
though. It is interesting because, and I think sometimes guys in the profession forget about, we graduate and no matter how many children you have or what's going on,
Mm.
it doesn't really stop you working.
No, that's right. And the
Whereas I
sleepless
could just
nights and
picture,
things like that.
I
Mm.
had my grandson stay with me for about 9 weeks. I was looking after him.
That was
And
a shock to the system.
oh my God, yeah, it was just me and him for 9 weeks. I had to look after him. And all of a sudden at the same time, I'm still trying to do the podcast. I'm trying to do everything else. And I'm going, my God, how do people do this when they're running a business and they've got a couple of children? And it really gave me an appreciation for
Yeah.
how easy it is being a guy sometimes. And I appreciate it.
Yeah. No, it is good. It's good to have that perspective on things and think, because it is hard to have too many demands on both people in the relationship. So if one is a professional or one is a business owner, it's difficult for the other person to have a full-on, all-in job as well. So and every family has its challenges and
No.
things to be dealing with. So
So,
it is
okay, so you ended up in air when
yes.
you went up there for a while. And
Yep.
what was the decision going from air? You
Yeah.
thought, okay, my kids have known enough about their cousins. They don't need to know anymore.
Yeah, see you
They need to
later.
they need to be able to speak English and get out of air.
Yeah, that's right. Your bogans.
Yeah, bogans. Yeah, get them away from the bogans. Get them down
Hey.
with some real people.
Yeah. So we'd
Why?
had
Well, yeah. Why the Sunshine Coast? How did you end up
yeah.
there? What was the
So
decision?
that's where we'd had lived and worked. Yes, straight after graduating was here on the Sunshine Coast. So we'd had that experience of living here for a few years beforehand, and we did really like it. That was the early married
Oh, so
year.
you graduated, worked
And
on the
moved up here.
Sunshine Coast
the Sunshine Coast.
first,
Yeah.
then went to air.
Then went to air, and then we came back. So we'd been there, that 6. My husband just said, I am not doing another summer in this hot place. Basically, I won't use the exact words. He is a school teacher. So he put in for a transfer. And then when he got Buderim, we were like, oh, well, it's time
Can't
to go.
say no. Yep.
So there wasn't a particular, I loved my practice there and probably would still be there. I had patients crying and gifts and all sorts of things. I really enjoyed working there. So that was a sad thing to leave. But so then I opened my practice in the year of 2020. So I signed a lease on a premises, this one, in the February, and then the whole of Australia was shut down in March.
Perfect timing.
It was excellent.
Jeez. Just could you have picked any better timing to do all that?
It was pretty difficult. That was really hard. So that was a lot of basically boots on the ground, just getting out every day.
Is that the clinic? That's still the same clinic you're in now?
It is. Yes.
Okay. How many square meters was it that you signed up for?
I think I'm in 65.
Okay, that's good size.
Yeah. So I've got 2 consult rooms and a sterilization area separate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So what a difference from going from a practice being overrun with a month waiting list to opening a new practice where nobody knew me. So none of the GPs knew who I was. No one could vouch for me as, being a sole.
Oh, yeah. No relations,
person.
no bogans running around.
No relationships. Exactly.
Yeah.
I know you're such and such or whatever. Yeah, so no support whatsoever. No GP clinic wanted to know you because it was COVID. They were all frightened of anyone coming in.
Yeah.
I could not even show up and say, here's my business card. Please support me, essentially. But anyway, I guess to the credit of my husband and things as well was just, you just got to keep showing up. You just have to do it. So I went into and did this phase 1. What was it? I'm just looking at the certificate now. So I did the podiatric pharmacology and therapeutics course in 2021.
Yeah.
So I completed that coursework to become an endorsed prescriber while I wasn't, overrun with patients.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you used your time, and I've said that to a lot of people, when COVID started,
Yes.
And I was doing the podcast, and I said to everyone, if you come out of the back of COVID with the same skill set that you went into it, that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, no.
A major missed opportunity.
Yeah. And I also did Tom Goom's running course online. That was great. Have you seen that?
No.
Tom Goom, he's a UK physiotherapist and runs running repairs online course.
Okay.
It's fantastic. So I did that in the background as well. And
Well,
then
my reboot started off because of COVID.
oh, right.
Yeah, because I was
Excellent.
doing live like marketing, 1-day marketing workshops around the place. And then I did one on the Gold Coast in the February, I think, and then COVID pretty much came in after that.
Well done.
When everyone was trying to figure out what they were doing, I was
Yeah.
talking to a podiatrist and they said, "Oh, clinic just needs like a reboot." I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. So I
Fabulous.
took some of the marketing
Yeah.
stuff and a lot of other business stuff that I was doing, and that's how the whole reboot started. Was based
Yeah.
off of the back of COVID.
Yeah, it was. You could either just be down in the dark, I could have lost everything,
Yeah,
or you just have to turn around, do what you do, and get on with it, which is, I guess, that farming background. There was no wallowing in things. It just, carry on. So, just worked really hard to build my reputation, visiting shoe stores, visiting every business in the street. Everyone knew me.
you got off your ass pretty much.
Yeah, that's it. That's the biggest thing, isn't it? Is just showing up, doing your best all the time, and extending yourself. So that therapeutics course was excellent. It was so good to do that and be challenged again so long out of uni. Then did the online case studies, and I'm still not an endorsed prescriber. There's no one in Queensland to supervise me. So I will get there. It's fine. That's just the last little thing to finish off, become an endorsed prescriber. So I'm really looking forward to being an endorsed prescriber. I think that's a really good thing that the association has fought for. And again,
It was needed.
Yeah.
It was definitely needed.
There's not really many endorsed prescribers in Queensland at all. So supervision for the last little part of that is a little bit of a challenge. But anyway, again, every challenge, you work it out.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of podiatrists that are doing it. Yeah, I don't know a lot. I know a few who have actually completed it, but I know a lot more who are doing it. And I think it will become the norm. Eventually, it'll just be the norm.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, that's a really good thing.
Be like foot mobilization.
Yeah, I did a course on that.
And dry needling, and it's like all these other things that come through. This is, and not the thing is that this is not. I'm not saying the others were fads, but they take a while before it becomes mainstream. But everyone's going, oh, this is expected of me to actually go and do this now. It's not something that's now optional. It's that you have, whether you end up using it or not, but you need to have that knowledge.
Particularly with ingrown toenail surgery, I just love doing those. It's so good, and it would just be brilliant just to have.
Just the look on your face then when you said, "Oh, that's so good."
I just love doing that.
It's like me eating ice cream. That's the look I get, and that's the look you get when you're talking about an ingrown toenail.
It's just such relief. It's just so good. It's just such a great little procedure, I think.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
I must admit, of all the things we do, it's the quickest result you get with something sometimes.
Yeah, so good. Yes.
And the relief it gives the patient.
Yeah.
And we do it better than anybody else.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, being able to prescribe antibiotics, I think, would be excellent.
Yeah, well, I'd never.
It doesn't always happen, but now and then you do need it.
Yeah, over all the hundreds and hundreds of them I did, I cannot recall any getting infected.
Yeah, sometimes we do. Yeah.
I had one guy. Did have one guy. His son. We did it. Yeah, come back in the right amount of time. Change of dressing. Didn't come back for like 10 days. But the same dressing on there.
Oh, beautiful.
I've gone, oh, this is not going to be good. Took it off and I've gone, cleaned it up. Can't see your GP, but I want to see you again in a few days. I just want to see how this is looking.
Yeah.
Instead of coming back 2 days later, he came back 5 days later. Same dressing, and it stinks. And I said to him, "Did you go to the GP?" "No, he's a pretty tough kid. He'll probably heal up on his own." And I said, "You need to go to your GP." Sent him off. Made another time. He never came back. So I assume he still has 10 toes. And we tried calling and don't know, but it was that was the only time you sort of But even then, I think even if you'd written the script and said, here, go and do this, they probably wouldn't have done it.
No,
Dumb.
that's right.
They were just dumb.
Yeah. Patient education has to be written down, everything like that.
Yeah.
Patient to patient. But
You can't argue with stupidity. That's what I figured out.
I think being a generalist podiatrist is good. I think having all that skill set is good. And then specializing in, musculoskeletal and sports podiatry has its really great things about it. And I think it's probably the challenges is more enjoyable than anything, is really getting to the bottom of those things. And there's so much to offer. So I think a general podiatry clinic is a really valuable part of the community. So
can I ask you a question though? So you worked in like a rural area,
yes.
like a bogan town.
Yes.
And anyone that's from Ayr, they know we're joking. Ayr's a nice place. It is actually a nice place. And so you've worked in a smaller country town, and now you're working like in a bigger regional area. How would you compare the difference between working between the two? Because, for example, like I worked on the Gold Coast, that's where I started my career, and I went from the Gold Coast, big regional area, to Cairns, smaller regional area 30 years ago when I first moved here, not as small as Ayr. My brother, for example, is a dentist. He worked in Whyalla and Albury, those sort of areas, and then back to Brisbane. And he always says the community in these smaller towns is so different to when you're in the larger ones, and the type of patients you see, it's a different dynamics. Would you find you found the same thing?
I think in the north particularly is most people are so grateful for your services. So what I found in my time there was everyone was always there for their appointment. No one missed an appointment. Everyone was there early, and everyone kind of mostly took you at your word, basically, as in like, yep, you need to do this. So this and this is why. So you just be very directive, I guess, with your treatments. And I loved it. I found it to be great, and also quite personable. So just getting on their level, basically. I guess there's a difference perhaps here with more professionals living in this area. So it's quite an affluent area. So most people are well versed and wanting to take care of themselves as well, and well educated in that. Not that there weren't those people in Ayr as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
But just probably more of a mixed bag. I did do more Indigenous health there, which was really challenging to get those treatment plans followed. That was sad actually to see some of that. And up there as well, you saw all sorts of things, just really rare genetic conditions, lots of stumps as well from tractor accidents and stuff like that, where you've lost a limb or foot or whatever. That's in agricultural areas, that tends to happen a bit more. Whereas down here, also the footwear is obviously different. So in North Queensland, as you know, a lot of people barefoot.
Thongs.
Or they're in a work boot. So I definitely dealt with work boot environment, and mining boot situations was the mainstay, of treatment there. So it's definitely a lot more, just different, definitely more professionals here, much more educated in terms of their health and wanting to be on the proactive side of things rather than reacting to things. Some people coming in just for an alignment assessment. Can you just look at my general alignment to make sure that I'm, right to go and do this particular HIIT or CrossFit thing? Totally different reasons for coming in as well down here, I find. And very willing to definitely love having their PhysiTrack program and following through on that as well. So definitely differences. Both have their charms. It's good.
I think every new graduate should spend a certain 1 or 2 years in a regional or rural area just to experience life outside of the capital cities and large regional centers like Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, those sort of places, because it's a different lifestyle. And like I said,
you're seeing those people around the community too, like in
I know you go out and about,
all your patients. So that in that sense, then you have to be happy with the service you're providing, because you have to face that person.
You can't hide.
No, you can't hide. So it does make you a better practitioner in that sense, because you are accountable. Like, you're going to see this person the next day in another way. yeah, you want to know that you've done the best possible thing by them.
Yeah, and if people are throwing rocks at you when you're walking down the street, then you need to improve.
They're running up the back of your car and stuff like that.
Well, a lot of rocks in air.
What are you doing, mate? What are you doing for?
But I remember I'd hear some funny things where you might be out and about, just walking for some exercise or going for a run or a jog, and a car would pull up beside you and the window would wind down, and it'd be one of your patients going, "Oh, it's good to see you getting your fat ass out there and exercising, not just telling me to do it." And they'd wind and they'd laugh their head off and go away and think
100%.
that does not happen in a capital city.
No. Yes. Definitely down to earth.
Yeah, which is why if someone had told me I would have left the Gold Coast when I first graduated and worked down, they would have gone, "Why would I leave? This is just what I know." But now that I'm up here, and I said to someone this morning that I was talking to, I said, "I'll never leave Cairns." I said, "I just enjoy the community too much to actually want to leave." Doesn't mean I won't have a holiday place at the Gold Coast or Sunshine Coast, but it's just it's a relaxed atmosphere.
It is. It definitely is. It is a lot different, I think, to Brisbane and going south. Yeah, any larger city environment becomes more sterile, I think.
Oh, definitely. So I have one last question for you, because I'm just looking at the time. And remember, I said to you, hey, if we only talk for about 30 minutes, it means you're boring. And we have gone for well over 44 minutes. Oh,
gosh. I hope I've had something to offer your podcast.
See, so there you know you're not boring. So I have a final question to wrap up. You're sitting at a bus stop, and I always say, I don't know why, but you're sitting at a bus stop. A podiatrist sits down next to you and they go, "Oh, you're Rebecca. You have the clinic in Buderim. What advice," and say they're a new or recent graduate, what advice would you give them to point them in the right direction for their career?
Oh, that's a big question. Totally loaded. Okay.
Yeah.
Whole career.
No, usually, no, not for the whole career. Just I've been out for a couple of years now, or I've just graduated. And what's one bit of advice that you would give me that would not change their career completely, but what's some advice you think they should do next?
I think listening to your patients, taking a thorough history will teach you so much. Doing that well can really help direct your treatment path better. And aim high. Don't just do what the bloke down the road's doing, or, what you've done always before. Try something new. Try a different way of doing it and research it. Get in there and research. The more you read about a particular condition, you'll become an expert in that. Yeah. So becoming, an expert in something that you don't know about is the best thing you can do.
Geez, that's good
listen
advice.
To them, find out how it's bothering them, how it's affecting their life, and what you can do about it. Focus on what you can do.
That is fantastic advice. It reminds me, Alan Crawford, who was the head of the department when I went through, said the same thing. He said, if you ask the patient enough questions to get a really good history, they'll pretty much tell you everything you need to know. It's don't jump to conclusions too early. Don't come to, don't think you know what they're going to say next without them saying it. He said that's where you get yourself in trouble. But I like what you said too. If you find something that is of interest, is dig into it a little bit more and do your own research. Don't just because you say something or I say something, or they're at a conference and some lecturer gets up there, or a professor says something, don't take it for verbatim that is correct. Do your own research, because that's just one opinion. And what they say, they're like assholes. Everyone has one.
What a way to finish off.
What a fantastic way to finish your podcast. So, Rebecca, this has been an absolute pleasure.
No worries.
Even you've come from air, you've refrained very well from saying anything inappropriate.
I'm a health professional, Tyson.
You are, and so am I. So I just want to thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I think there'll be people listening to this that you will get them a little bit inspired and fired up. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Tyson. Bye.
Okay, see ya.